Hi, this is Dr. Melissa Gratias. I help overworked and overwhelmed people feel focused, balanced, and successful. And today, I'm talking about fear. Fear is not productive. And I'll start out with reading a testimonial from one of my clients that illustrates the point. Here's what she said. I really enjoyed our session. I really learned a lot. I'm also fighting my fears of deleting emails that I replied to that are not business records. I am getting over the fear of maybe needing the emails in the future. And then she goes into specifics of what she learned in coaching. And this person is a supervisor of a very busy call center. But twice she used the word fear. And I was called in to help this call center supervisor because of an overwhelming amount of email, and she was not as responsive as she needed to be. She was not processing it appropriately, and she was in violation of our company's records management policies to boot. So, not to mention, it was causing her tremendous amounts of stress. So getting over those fears was very, very significant. Very, very significant for her. And it makes me think more about the impacts of fear. What are the impacts of fear-based decision-making in the workplace? Well, there are several. The first one is fear makes you not start things. I'm afraid of spending too much time. I'm afraid of what the outcome's going to be. I'm afraid that it's not going to be perfect. So fear makes you not start things that could really be excellent for both you, your career, and your employer. So one of the impacts of fear is failure to start. The second impact of fear is the converse, failure to finish. We don't finish things because we fear it's not perfect. We fear that once this project's over, we don't really, now it's the unknown. We don't know what we're going to do. We don't know what's going to happen next. There's this big void of what's going to happen after this project's over. So we have fear that we're not going to be in a good place after we finish the project, so we just don't. We let it go on and on and on and on and on, so it's perfect, right? Right. Wrong. The third thing that fear-based decision-making can impact is that we end up keeping too much information, and that was one of the issues with this call center supervisor, is that she had tens of thousands of emails that she was keeping out of fear. She wasn't being efficient and effective with her email. Bad things were happening to her personally and professionally as a result of this email situation that she was in, and it was fear-based. Fear-based. Lastly, and this is an interesting thing, think about you're checking your email, and someone asks you to do something, and you look at that, you're like, if I don't drop everything and do this right now, I'm afraid that I won't remember to do it later. So whether or not it's a high priority item, our fear propels us to drop everything, work on the task because we're afraid we'll forget about it later. That's another maladaptive fear-based response in the workplace. Lastly, fear can cause interruptions. A lot of times, the people who are I call them frequent flyers, that are constantly going to their supervisors and their managers saying, got a minute, got a minute, got a minute. These people are operating out of fear that they're making the wrong decisions, fear that they're stepping out of line, they're overstepping their authority. So interruptions are often caused by scared people who are looking for reassurance. And if you address those fears that they're having a lot, you can often reduce your interruptions quite profoundly. So what can you do if you saw yourself in any of those 5 scenarios? You are the person operating out of fear. Option 1, and this is something I tell my coaching clients all the time, option 1 is to change nothing. And everything must be weighed against that option because changing things can be disruptive. So you've got to weigh the cost of the disruption over the benefit of the change. So option 1 is to change nothing, continue operating out of fear, just say that's the way it is, that's how it is, and it's just why they pay you the big bucks, right? Probably not, but if you're still watching this video, you're probably not wanting option 1. You may want option 2. Well, option 2 is just to plow forward Plow forward in spite of your fears. This is often helpful or I'm sorry, the right thing to do if your fears are kind of unfounded, if they are more worst case scenarioing rather than based in logic and reason and probability of happening. So you can plow forward in spite of your fears and just get the job done and push past it, all that kind of good stuff. And usually that happens after you just sit down and you say, what is really the worst thing that could happen here? What am I afraid of? And when you decide that's really not something to be afraid of, you can plow forward. The third thing is to solve whatever the real problems are that you're afraid of. So option 2, plow forward, the problems aren't really, quote, real. To you they are, but you know what I mean. Option 3 is the problems are legitimate. There is a reason to be afraid of them, and we attack those problems head on so that we are less afraid. Now we have to then start trusting that these problems will not recur, and oftentimes that involves trusting people who may have behaved in a way that caused fear in us in the past, but that's for another video. So this is not an instantaneous process. Just know that it happens over time, and it's something that I help clients work through in coaching often. And to illustrate this, I'll give you one more testimonial from a partner at a tax accounting firm. I just finished tax season and wanted to let you know how much you helped me. I just received about 3 to 4 emails for post-tax season work. So think about it. He was in the middle of his busiest season and he received several emails for work that could be done afterward. Whereas before, this client, I remember, he was a great client, whereas before he would have dropped all of his urgent tax season work to do these 4 things because he was afraid he would forget about them later. Here's what happened. It was so easy to add these things to my task list with a due date and a reminder. No need to worry that I've forgotten something. It's all there. Thank you. So there are things that you can do to alleviate your fear. But in general, operating from a basis of fear in the workplace is not going to help you be as productive or really as happy as you may want to be in your job. If you're tired of working in a fearful way at work, please reach out to me. If you like my videos, you will love coaching. Coaching is a way where we tackle all of your fears and we find good solutions for them. Somewhere around this video is going to be a link to an email or my website where you can reach out and we can schedule a phone call to discuss your fears, to find out if coaching is the right thing for you. There's no cost or obligation to you with this phone call. I just want to talk to you about your situation and maybe we'll decide to work together. This is Dr. Melissa Gratias. Thank you so much.